Morning, my friends. I am excited today. We're going to be going over my core product that I've gotten to build over the last year with an amazing team. We're going to be going through the designs, talking about design decisions, things that we're going to improve, things that I would improve, how we think about the product, etc. So it'll be kind of cool to kind of just see that side of the thinking. Hopefully, that's insightful for you when you're building products or starting a company, or even just if you're a product designer or engineer. Hopefully, there's some nuggets in here for you. So let's get into it. So this is the product. It's called Wonder. Um, it's a project management tool for Web3 teams. I just feel like I'm like hiding cool parts of it. Got a little cool spinny triangle thing happening down there, so just know that that's happening below me. This is where you go initially when you first land on the product. The concept behind it was we wanted a place where it almost felt like you're sitting at like a spaceship's HUD or something. Like that's what we were going for. Was like something like future realistic, like an optimistic feel in the product, not like a cyberpunk type of feel. Um, which we get a lot of good feedback here. People really love the designs, but I think what I notice in something like on the team too is it's a lot of there's a lot of gravity on this page, and if you land here for the first time, you might not know intuitively what to do next, what these things even mean. A big thing in product design is people should know what is going to happen when you click a button, or at least like have an idea. So, like you might not know what happens when you click your contributor workspace, your operator workspace. This is the first optimization that I think I would make is combining these two things into a single one. It's like let's look in your contributor workspace. You can like manage all of the work that's assigned to you across all projects, which is pretty cool, right? It's like a single aggregate. So it's across all these different teams I'm on, and it's like I can just come here and see what work I have to do. It also pulls in like bounties I'm working on or proposals. But then the operator is more of like admin type of work. So it's like approvals of like memberships, um, requests, proposals to review, submissions to review. So it's really like administrative stuff. But I feel like these two can be combined into one to some degree. And it's like this is just like your workspace. So instead of it being like, it could just be like tabs on here and we consolidate them a little bit better. Because right now we have what, three tabs here, four tabs here. Like org member requests, pod member requests can be put into one. Proposals to review, and submissions to review, those potentially could be put into one. But I think the issue we have, and in general building a product, you want to be careful having too many tabs where it's like overwhelming. That's something thinking about right now. Could be a nice, easy optimization. Something big too is we're about to do a big overhaul of the profile. Right now, the profile is like pretty bare bones, just like projects you're in and tasks you've completed. So we'll be doing something cool there eventually. There has been a lot of thinking done about navigation. Um, like right now, we have like stuck bars, right? We do have the way you can kind of like pull it in and out, but this is like your like money button right here where you can create. You can also access it just by pressing C and it comes into the center, which is a nice little shortcut. But for me, I feel like the thing that's created most is a task. And then there's a concept of like the amount that your mouse has to travel is super important. And I would honestly rather switch the task here and have the task be here versus milestone. So milestone's a bit more rare. So if most people are just going this and then clicking over here, they're having to jump over here. So that's like the type of thing that's like a little optimization that a user would never consciously think about, but it just makes it like that much easier to use your product. It's like hard to explain, but like the compounding effects of having your finger go from here to there versus here to there is pretty big. That's why we try to, obviously like push the shortcuts too, so you don't even have to come over here, because even that is a big travel. if your mouse is in this part of the screen, I'm gonna travel halfway across the screen over here, then travel back, and then after pressing it, traveling over here. I think that's also a big thing you want to avoid as much as possible. So that's like one thing in our product is thinking about like user calories. How are they spending them? Is it they're having to travel a lot through navigation, or is it super streamlined and easy to click around? Let's actually look at like a project. So first, we used to use a like Discord style where every project I was in was on the sidebar. That was pretty cool. And it's like nice. It's nice. Like a lot of our users use Discord, and it's pretty familiar. Um, but we switched to more of like the Notion type of approach where they're all nested in here. And the reason being, we wanted it to be, we're slowly getting more into this, but it being like a more immersive experience in the project versus it being like, oh, I could just easily go from one to one. We kind of wanted it to have, we had intentional friction here where it's like I'm in this project versus, like, oh, I'll just switch out of it real quick. So let's take a look. This is Wonderverse's project on Wonderverse, pretty meta. This is our project page. And, you can see tasks, bounties, milestones, proposals, different collabs that we're in. We don't have any grants, different documentation. We don't use too much documentation for ourselves here. But the main premise of this was we used to actually dump people off at a board, and we didn't have a project page. So this is like the aggregate of all the information, right? It's like all the things are here, which, I think is pretty cool. It's pretty clean. It is pretty useful because I can like create specific tasks from right here too. Same thing with like bounty, so I can do like quick ads, which is I think a really nice addition. But I think long term this isn't what we really want, right? Because on this screen, if we're just leaving it right here, look at how many words there are on this screen. Like including the sidebar too, it's like a lot of words, a lot of stacked text, and it's hard for a user to really like take in that information well and like filter out what's relevant for them. So that's a big optimization we're trying to think of, maybe how to give more of a visual view, a more analytical view, so just making that discoverable. Another big one is having more modularity, so I don't have grants, being able to hide grants on this board, and even potentially being able to hide it on the sidebar too. Having some like locked system, so only admins would be able to see it. So if they wanted to add it in the future, they could. So that's a big one. Also, like looking at this now, yeah, I feel like this sort of information is pretty helpful, right? I think we can clean up a bit of these things. Like, I don't think I need to see my role on each one of these collabs from here. Maybe see theirs. The thing is, like, with these designs, look at how heavy this design is. By heavy, I mean, like, it has a lot of gravity. So my eye is more attracted to it there. So when I'm on this portion, I'm having my eye come over here, and this is taking up the most energy on the page. But also, like, this, because we decided to do it clean, this is all on the right, right? It's like right justified, except my eyes having to travel back and forth to kind of like see those two. And that's another example of like being considerate of, your users' travel and the calories that they're burning while using your product. So if I'm trying to see what Chelsea is, their role, I'm traveling there and back. Project Queen Mag, there and back. It's a pretty big, pretty tall order. So let's actually look a bit into like the boards a bit more. I really love, like the simplicity just to do in progress and review done. It's nice, just like drag and drop too. It's pretty straightforward. We used to have like a really tall banner here, but now we've like optimized for like smaller cards, less information on the cards, etc. I do wish we had like a sticky header scroll, so like these stayed at the top maybe once I scroll down, and then I could scroll just via column. Um, I know because like at this point, it's like is this still? I feel like it's to do with progress and review done, but I feel like it could be a bit cleaner. And you are getting a decent amount of information. But it's like our project, for example, how many things? We have 381 open items, right? It's like, that's a lot. Um, I think we need a better, like, oh, this item's been sitting on the board for a while. Like, do you want to archive it? So having, like, some, like, auto archiving type of stuff in the future, that'd be useful for us. Um, Also, like, maybe pings, like, if something's been in review for a while, having an automatic ping. Same with in progress. I mean, we have freaking 100 things in flight right now, which is pretty interesting. So it's like all these different team sizes. If we're a team of 10, so it's like, okay, the 10 people, these are around actually the numbers that we've seen, which is pretty interesting. But it's like, okay, if you had 100 people, do you have 10x this, so 1,000 things in progress? Is the board still as useful? Um, that's a point of interest. I believe we have similar thing for like bounties. We don't have a lot of bounties open right now, but theoretically anyone can come here, be able to see bounties. I think optimizations for this board. I don't know if people need to see submissions and approved. I mean, that could be helpful. Um, should we do the 4x4 column? Or I actually think how we do proposals is pretty clean. I'll show you the proposals right now. I like this style a bit more. It's we're using this like sidebar, which this should stick. Like have it stick right here, and then these just scroll, because I can then like I do my filtering through here, which is pretty cool. Status open approved. I almost feel like we don't even need this like top add filters anymore. We see it's like a better ingestion of information. Like I can see all of the stuff just in this area. This is an example where it's like, okay, all relevant stuff is here. We do have the 2 votes thing up here, which I actually think we should remove, seeing this. Because we have total votes down here. We don't need it on the top right also. And then we also have like comments down there. Really, we should move comments over here, get rid of votes, and I think we're set. It's like pretty nice. I think this is an example of like, okay, like this is doing well, good ingestion of information. Thinking about it, I would maybe deprioritize. This actually should be like a rounded corner. I don't think we really use square profile pictures anywhere. If you look at tasks, let me just confirm this. We're using circle people. Circles. So it's like it doesn't make sense then for us to be using squares here. It's like little things like that, like they add up. It's like a little inconsistency. If we wanted to switch the other one to squares, we could. Just quickly, some milestones. I think some we have auto only show open milestones, which I don't think we should do. But the milestones are interesting. I like the progress bar. I think that's nice. But and this part is also nice. Yeah, you can see if stuff's completed and progress to do. You can also, something big too is you can actually change it from here. So if you're an admin, you could easily do that, which is like pretty nice. But one thing is we now have like AI capabilities. Wonderbot can help you, unleash your community's potential. You can like enter in a prompt and get like, okay, like create an SEO strategy, and then you describe more about it, and you get like a bunch of tasks. Let's just like look at that for example, and take a second. But I feel like this can be huge. Like I'm pretty bullish on utilizing AI for productivity. Like this is like pretty on point for creating SEO strategy, keyword research, like on-page optimizations, technical SEO audit. Like it's pretty well documented on Google, right? Like it's pretty well documented process, and it actually has decent descriptions too, like create an active social media presence. It's like social media integration / marketing. It's like okay, like I could get rid of this if I thought. Um, but a lot of these things in general, it's like, ooh, like redesign landing page. Let's try that actually. Oh, that would be adding a milestone. Right. Let's see what steps it would give us. It's a pretty interesting concept, and I'm pretty bullish on like assigning a task to the Wonderbot too. Define goals of the landing page, analyze current analytics data, simplify navigation, optimize loading speed. Yeah, these are pretty good, right? And I could easily just automatically add those all to my board, or I could clear them all, not do them. Pretty bullish on that. So it's like finding what are the key parts of your product that you think the most drive the most value. Right now we have our most of our product around the task board, which I think it's like task and milestones. Um, I think we could pull out the AI bot a bit more. Stuff like data DAO collaborations, so these are like shared workspaces with other projects, which is like a pretty interesting concept. We just redid our leaderboard. Oh no, I'm not doing too well. 5th place, come on. But yeah, like, this is a good driver. I feel like this can also be pulled out a bit more. Like this is something that maybe should be on the project homepage. So it's like, is this a driving force that makes people want to do like more and make it like a fun thing? If it is, like it's a bit hidden at this point, maybe like automatically post the leaderboard at the end of each day or something like that. I don't know. Let's go all time. Yeah. Okay, 3rd all time. Oh my god, I'm only 2 back from Andros. I need to get moving. Let's go. Okay. So see that's like it's like a motivator for me right now. Just so funny. Um, let's check out our members page. Don't improve. He's doing some testing. I feel like this is like admin work that probably shouldn't live here. So like, it should more be like a directory of like all of the members versus I think how we do it now is just like this. You know what I mean? Not as cool. We have ideas for this. I think this has a lot of potential to be improved here. And then our documentation, I think, is actually our weakest page right now. I think it's like fine, but I feel like we'll be adding like native docs at some point, which will be really cool. But right now it's just like linking to other things, which is interesting. Setup docs, we just did this. It's like pretty cool. Like each one of these is like a workflow that kind of like pulls you through like these beautiful 3D animations here, connector, Twitter, all these headers, etc. Just trying to make it like easier for people to set up projects. I think it's like a pretty clean thing. And then something that we've done that I actually want to pull through a bit more is our templates actually. So you can like look at, let's say, like content, translate our content to native language, add to board, save. It's like pretty easy task creation like right here, which is like pretty cool. So you can easily just add these templates. I think that's pretty clean execution for us. So, and they also have like grants and like concept of pods where things are like separated into. The thing is, we need to like add a bit more clarity to all these things and make it easier for a project to initially launch. That's what's challenging about building like a product this wide in scope is there's a ton of concepts. Like you have documents, you have grants, we have tasks, milestones, proposals. we could do one of these things just at like a world class level. But the thing is, there's a huge multiplication of having all of them. And most customers, that's what they actually want. Is they don't want like some like fragmented, all these fragmented tools. They don't want to use 20 tools to do something that could do all these things. So that's just the way that the market really pulled us. Um, like if you look at like a ClickUp, for example, is like someone who's trying to build like literally everything that they can. Um, versus if you do, like most project management tools kind of have to go in that direction. I think Monday also similar. I think Asana was pretty good at like they mostly do boards. They have some other stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, like it's a board. Like Trello also is like that, where it's like, yep, that is we do boards. If you want to do Kanban style, we do boards. Um, versus us, it's like we have all these other elements. So building a product like this too, and in this space is, we have the things that we didn't even get into truly is like all the like Web3 integrations that we have to have also. So we also do payments, like we also do crypto payments. We have a lot of like Web3 integrations. I could like literally pay people out for their work natively on this platform, which is just like kind of unheard of for a project management platform. So it's just like building a ton. Like we built a ton, and we have so much more to go too, which is like cool and what's exciting. And the benefit of that too is if you build something that is like kind of a widget, it can be easily replaced, right? It's like it's not that defensible, but like if you have a very deep product stack, people are like, like man, it's gonna take a lot to build that thing. Um, it's a long term good moat. So that's a bit of our approach. So last thing I'll show is like our project. Right now we do have like explore, so you can like find projects and like things to work on. Like let's look at some orgs. So I could like find orgs, which is pretty interesting. Most um, project tools in general, it's kind of like closed gardens, and ours is kind of like, oh, here are other people using our product. You can find them, like do some work with them. And same thing, we also have like the idea of like being able to explore work, which is pretty cool. So I could find like this bounty, and I'm not even part of this project, but I could see like an opportunity, and I can make submissions if it's something I'm interested in. So it has a really cool element like that. This in its own right, like this aggregation is a pretty interesting product. It's a you know you have to think through what the full this in its best form actually looks like, um, and it could be a whole other product like in its own right, like not even connected to these other things. I think there is a multiplying effect having them on the same platform, but like at a huge scale, this could be like a super useful way and a good way for us to monetize in the future too. So it's nice to have. It's like at the early inklings, we have like some filtering, some stuff like that. We see it's like kind of just like random. Like these were posted recently, so it's like no submissions on them, etc. Um, but really, in the future, you want like matching for work, etc. So overall, I'm proud of how far we've come, but also in the same regard, like I know how far we can go, which is like super exciting. I think the next generation of the product, like we're gonna redo the design system a bit. I feel like our product's a bit dark. Um, like it's like this shot that we have here. It's like dark and purple, right? I wonder who inspired this concept. Um, but let's see, what the next iteration is. I think it's going to be adding cleanliness, adding simplicity, making stuff like super sharp, and getting the value on each page, and not having to like have it all be buried a bit. So I think that this is it's helpful to look at your product, kind of roast yourself a little bit. Um, I really love, what we've done. I think with building your product, I do this at least once a week where I kind of like walk through and take notes of like, this works, this doesn't work, here's stuff that we can do. And just kind of like really try and see it from new perspectives, or like if I was a contributor, or just creating new accounts and going through your onboarding, stuff like that. So it's a good exercise to be doing all the time. So hopefully this was helpful, getting to see a bit of what we're doing, how I'm thinking about what we're doing, and where we can go. So thanks so much for watching, and until next time, my friend.